Ever faced moments of self doubt, felt the weight of imposter syndrome, or been overwhelmed by the pressure to perform perfectly? You're not alone. As leaders, our internal dialogue shapes our decisions, influences our emotional responses, and ultimately affects how we show up in the world. I'm Ed Schaefer, Executive Leadership Coach and founder of Agile Ideation. In this video, we're diving deep into the concept of positive self talk, why it matters, how it impacts leadership, and how you can use it as a tool for growth. Over the next few minutes, we'll explore practical techniques to shift negative self talk, real life examples, and insights from psychology that will help you become a more resilient, confident leader. Let's explore how you can reframe those negative thoughts, build a mindset of growth, and strengthen your leadership with intentional self talk. To start, let's define self talk. Simply put, self talk is the internal conversation you have with yourself. It's the voice that guides your actions, shapes your thoughts, and even determines your emotional responses. Self talk can be positive, encouraging, and empowering, or it can be negative, limiting, and self defeating. Why does this matter for leaders? The way we talk to ourselves directly impacts our behavior, decision making, and leadership effectiveness. Leaders who engage in positive self talk tend to be more resilient, confident, and successful in navigating challenges. They are more likely to embrace failure as a learning opportunity and foster an environment of psychological safety for their teams. Conversely, negative self talk can lead to stress, burnout, and hinder the capacity to perform at our best. Think about the last time you felt overwhelmed at work. What was the conversation you had with yourself during that time? Did you tell yourself, I'm not cut out for this? Or did you say, this is a challenge I'm capable of overcoming? It's the difference between feeling paralyzed by fear and rising to the occasion with confidence. As high achieving leaders, many of us fall into certain patterns of negative self talk that undermine our potential. Let's look at a few of the most common ones. Perfectionism. If I don't do this perfectly, I've failed. Perfectionism is a productivity killer and confidence wrecker. It forces us to operate under the illusion that everything must be flawless, which is unrealistic and exhausting. Imposter syndrome. I'm not really qualified for this role. Imposter syndrome is especially common in high level leaders. Despite evidence of success, many struggle with feelings of being a fraud or unworthy. It can prevent you from fully stepping into your leadership role. Catastrophizing. If I make a mistake here, it's the end of my career. This pattern focuses on the worst case scenario and magnifies the potential consequences of failure, making it paralyzing to take action. Overgeneralization. I always mess up when presenting. Overgeneralization takes one isolated event and applies it to an entire context. This kind of thinking sets you up for failure by reinforcing limiting beliefs. These patterns can have a profound impact on a leader's performance, so recognizing them is the first step toward change. Now let's talk about how to reframe these negative thought patterns. Here are some evidence based techniques that can help you build more constructive self talk. The name it technique. One of the most effective ways to distance yourself from negative self talk is to name the inner critic. By personifying your negative thoughts, for example, that's just doubtful Dan talking, you can create psychological distance, which allows you to challenge the thought rather than identify with it. If you catch yourself thinking, I'm not smart enough for this project, pause and say, that's just doubtful Dan talking. I've got this. Cognitive diffusion. A technique rooted in acceptance and commitment therapy, ACT, is cognitive diffusion, and it's about observing your thoughts without letting them control you. Instead of saying, I am a failure, say, I'm having the thought that I am a failure. This small change reduces the emotional weight of negative self talk. I'm having the thought that I can't lead this team versus I can't lead this team. The former makes it easier to challenge the thought and take action. Self compassion. Self compassion is about being kind to yourself in moments of struggle. Leaders often experience high levels of stress and self criticism, but showing yourself compassion is critical for mental resilience. When you make a mistake, Instead of beating yourself up, say, "This is a tough moment, and many people face challenges like this. I will be kind to myself and learn from it." Future oriented self talk. Rather than dwelling on past mistakes or current limitations, shift your self talk to focus on future possibilities and growth. "I'm developing the skills needed to lead this team" versus "I'm not capable of leading this team." Focusing on growth rather than deficiencies can drive motivation and clarity. It's easy to say shift your mindset, but in practice, it can be challenging. One of the biggest obstacles is that negative self talk is automatic. It's not something we consciously choose, which can make it tough to manage and change. The solution? Practice and awareness. Becoming aware of your self talk is the first step. Set aside time every day to reflect on your thoughts, especially during high pressure moments. Over time, this mindfulness practice will help you recognize when negative self talk arises, giving you the chance to reframe it. Another challenge is that negative self talk can feel like a part of your identity. "I've always been this way," you might say, but this is where the power of reframing comes in. Just because you've always thought a certain way doesn't mean you can't change it. You are the architect of your mindset, and with effort, you can build a stronger, more resilient mental framework. To recap, positive self talk isn't just a nice to have skill, it's a crucial tool for effective leadership. By recognizing and reframing negative self talk patterns, you build a foundation for greater resilience, clarity, and confidence. Now it's time for you to put this into practice. Think about one recurring negative thought you have as a leader. Use one of the techniques we discussed today to reframe it and take action. Let's start shifting your self talk today so you can lead with greater strength tomorrow. If you'd like to explore this further, don't hesitate to reach out for coaching. Let's work together to build the mindset and leadership you need to thrive. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more insights on leadership and personal growth.